And the widget name is going to be in there. And it's going to return procedure that does that hard work for me. Widget and the widget name. And of course, normal name in there too. And we're going to do our normal checks. But we're actually going to have a bit better error messages. Well, not much, actually. But we're going to have to parameterize the error message. And then we're going to want to grab out the widgets just like, there we go. And so now we can do something like this. And then something like this. And we've just simplified our lives a bit. Okay. So now we are able to get the text edit widget pretty easily. But we need to now have some way of getting the time. And the trick here comes from the behavior of our XM push button. So if we scroll all down here and we take a look at the callback information, we will note that our call data has this structure. And one of these structures is an X event. And it just so happens that an X event structure, especially for a button event, has a time, which is exactly what we need. So we're dealing with buttons, so we're going to define an appropriate structure for handling these events. So we are mostly concerned with button and key press events, which are the same shape, and since we only care about the time, they can be overloaded into one. So we're going to call it X button event struct, and we're going to base it off of the button event structure that's actually there. So we're going to have a type. And we're just going to copy these mostly over. Now, sometimes if you don't know what the actual underlying type is, you're going to have to look it up. But otherwise, it should be mostly pretty straightforward to write these sorts of things. Okay. All right. So there's our one structure. But the structure that comes in is the push button callback structure. So let's actually remind ourselves what that looks like. Here we go. We have a reason. And it's an integer. And your event is a pointer to event structure. And you have a click count. So now we have our structure that will let us essentially get access to this specially this time element. So let's go back to our clip, our little clip here, and let's see if we can't come up with a reasonable definition of get time. So we want to do an ftime ref, an xm push button callback struct, and we want the event, and we want to dereference the pointer and grab the time out of it. So all that's left to do is make an ftype pointer of that type out of the incoming data. There we go. So now we have the ability to get the time. And that will let us do cut, copy, and paste appropriately. All that's left is to put in the form procedure values for that. And it, of course, takes a widget and it actually returns a Boolean. Like so. Let's do that. And okay. That gives us our cut, copy, and paste procedures. And now we should have a fully working clipboard operation. Let's actually try it, see what we get. Alright, so let's throw some stuff in here. Try copying. Oh, looks like we've got an invalid foreign procedure argument SP clip. Let's see what we've done wrong there. Okay. So updating the status bar expects name widget and string. The real problem is with get text. Let's look at that error again. Okay. We're just going to see if we get this far. Okay. Let's see where we go wrong here. Okay. Oh, there we go. Little mix up there. Alright, we're good again. So let's try copying that. Okay. It says primary selection copied to the keyboard. Let's see if pasting actually pastes it. Oh, and there we go. Pasting works, and you see our still status message pops up down there. Let's try to cut, and paste. So our three operations here now work. Like so. Alright. That gives us a working clipboard functionality. All that's left is to somehow enable a working, or at least effectual, means of doing the open and close on the files. So to do this, we're going to have to actually work with the file selection boxes. So if we pull up the man page for these, the thing we're most interested in is how we get the information out. So in here you can see that we can get the value of our path as an XM string. But we want to get it into a normal string, and the fastest way to do that is to get it into a C string. That's going to require that we make use of XM string unparse, which is going to require a little extra work. So let's first start by taking a look at what, getting a little template going for our callback. So we haven't set up the callbacks in our GUI yet, so let's go ahead and do that. Inside of open file, our callback is already set, and inside of the actual open file selection box callback, let's have a look at that. Our OK button has not been set to anything, as you can see here. What we want to set it to is a new operation. So let's add a couple of constants again. A constant for save operation and a constant for an open operation. So let's do file open. We can make that external. And let's make this one file save. That to be 1. Make it external. Okay. We have some constants, and now let's add a procedure